Welcome back to Under Oath. I'm your host, Jeff Kaufman. Today, I have the privilege, it's ridiculous, with the movie that just came out, I have actor Michael Mando. Michael, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you for having me, Jeff.
You are the Michael Caine of Canadian actors. Every time I turn around, you're in something, man.
I've never been called the Michael Caine of anything. I'll take that as a high honor.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Sir Michael Caine.
Dude, I can't, you're in Spider-Man. You're got Batman Nightfall coming up. You're in 72 Hours. What aren't you in, man?
You know, it's funny. I did not plan it that way. You know, the 72 Hours is the #1 streaming movie in the world right now. I think it's streaming in over 67 countries. Spider-Man is arguably one of the highest grossest films of all time. And I just feel incredibly grateful. It feels like I'm in everything, but to be honest with you, I've shot these projects over the past 3 years or 3, 4 years, and I haven't had anything come out over the past 3, 4 years. So it seems like everything's coming out at the same time, but these were shot. There was a lot of space between them.
Now, you were at Homecoming, but it was a smaller role. Did you think that, hey, from the first movie, and I'm going to be in the fourth movie, did that even compute to you? That I'm still going to be around 4 movies from now?
No, I didn't. You know, I know the fans, especially, from Voss when I played Far Cry 3, when I was in Far Cry 3, we did the full motion capture and the live action. It became a cult favorite. And that character was so iconic. And I know that the fan base is so strong. And I think these guys and the guys from Better Call Saul really wanted to see Scorpion back. I didn't think it was going to happen, so I really buried the idea. And I was really grateful when Marvel called back and said, "Hey, would you like to reprise the role?" It was a really beautiful moment, and instantly my actor senses kicked in, and I said, "Well, we got to do this right.
Yep.
You know, we've got to honor the fans, and we can't, we've got to be careful." And I'm glad I took that leap of faith, and I think we've proven that character has a tremendous amount of potential.
Yeah.
A beautiful backstory as a detective. It potentially becomes Venom, and this is just level 1. I think this character has at least 2 or 3 levels.
Now, how can I say it? I don't want to use the word ass backwards, but Far Cry 3, you get this opportunity and they go, well, we probably can't use it because your head doesn't fit the character and everything else like that. And they need something for, I believe, what, CES? They need for conventions. So they go, we need you again.
E3, the E3 convention.
Yeah, E3. And suddenly you're going, I now have a career because of motion capture and all this nonsense I did on a video game. How fortuitous is that?
You know, it's interesting, man. You look at your life in hindsight, and it feels unreal.
Yeah.
You know, I look at my life and it feels really surreal. Sometimes I've been doing these podcasts and interviews, and I'm sharing parts of my life going, wow, like it sounds made up. And I think everyone's life sounds that way. When I listen to my father's life or my brother's life, or I'm sure if we and I sat at a bar and I heard your stories, you look back in hindsight and you go, that's amazing how things seem to fit together in such a magical way. So maybe that's part of the human experience. I don't know. I'm just grateful, and I feel responsible, and I just want to continue doing my best and try to be as best of a person as I can be. It's challenging, but I definitely try my best all the time.
Now, I'm a father of my daughter's in her 3rd year in theater school at college. And I always try to give her advice about, and the issue was, well, do you just go straight to acting or do you go to college? And a lot of people, I guess 95% of the actors, went straight into it. Now, you went the other route. You went to college. What do you think the pros were for you going to college and not just going straight into acting?
That's an interesting question. It's almost like it has a bit of what kind of life advice would you give a young person?
Yeah.
Um, Follow your intuition. Nobody knows what is inside of you more than you. And we spend so much time trying to convince others to see what is inside of us, as opposed to trusting ourselves that what we feel can materialize. So that is a very difficult thing to do. As Joseph Campbell puts it, and Carl Jung, at some point you have to break away from the herd, and find yourself in order before you can come back. I would tell young people, listen to your intuition. Um, Trust what you feel, but before your intuition is super well developed, and that we all struggle with it, no matter how young or old or experienced you are, listen to people around you that love you, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's your life and you should follow your intuition. um, that's as much as I can say. We're all, I can give specific advice if someone says this or that, but again, any advice that I would give might not apply to that person because I'm not looking at the world and existence through their particular unique eyes. So it's tough to give general advice.
No, I get it. It's hard for me as a father. I mean, I've been a stand up, I've been an attorney. I do this show, I write comic books, and it's so hard to give advice to people when they go, well, how do I start? And I said, you got to find out what's comfortable for you. And
Yeah, I mean, look, going to school at a young age is not a bad thing if you're learning. And I learned so much in theater school. I would not have changed that for the world. I learned about blocking and Shakespeare and classical texts and Ibsen, and it was just I don't think I would have learned any of that by myself. I wouldn't have known where to start. It gave me a really great foundation, and the theater, I think, is a really good place to start as an actor because it gives you a sense of an audience, a live audience. In film, there is no audience.
nope.
Nobody on stage is really, people are holding their mic focused on the camera and then they move on and you don't really know. You don't have a sense of what you did. So the theater is a great place to start, but then there's a lot of film actors that never did theater. So to each their own, right?
Yeah, no, I absolutely support that. And I think this is a great segue to be able to say, I'm certain you have an Instagram page where people can ask you for this advice. So I believe the Instagram page is at Michael Mando.
At Michael Mando, yes. I have an Instagram page and I'm doing an AMA tomorrow, where people can ask me anything they'd like, at noon Eastern time on our movies. And yeah, I'm always happy to help people, especially younger people.
All right. Now, hold on. I know Spider Man is the hot thing. I'm wearing my Super X Spider Man hoodie today to honor you. Um,
Thank you.
what cuts me up is you do villains so well, and some of your villains are kind of like anti-villains, like the in Just Call Saul. You play it's a villain, but you you're conflicted, which I love the conflicted villain.
Yeah, you look for the humanity. I don't think you think of them as good or bad. I'm always interested in marginalized characters, psychologically layered characters. I'm always interested in, challenging the status quo, and going like, all right, this is what everyone thinks this is. Who is going to challenge that? It takes a lot of courage to raise your hand and say, I want to, I want to challenge that. And essentially, that's what the antagonist does is he goes, all right, here's the world how it works. Here are the people that are not being represented, and here's what they have to say. I love that point of view. Moving forward in this second part of my career, I think I'm interested in playing
Yeah.
protagonists who also challenge the status quo. So I think it's just the flip side of the same coin. But I've loved exploring those palettes, and I think now it's time to move into the protagonist of it all.
Now, following another actor who has portrayed a character can be tough because you don't know what you're taking from it. I mean, for example, you're playing Bane, and it's a voice actor, but you're doing Bane in Batman Nightfall. You know, do you even take any of that? Do you even go, well, I'm not even going to listen to what somebody else did before. I'm going to just try to get my own take and fit it in.
I mean, I'm not afraid of listening and seeing what other people did before me. I think you've got to approach it with an open heart and not let your ego paralyze you and create all these barriers for yourself because I think that more exposes a sense of fragility. So I'm not afraid of looking what other people did, but ultimately, I treat it as a very subjective experience. The idea was to for us to treat it as a completely new character and just do it our way and to give something new and fresh to the character. Um, that's always my approach with everything I do. I certainly never want to imitate anybody else because I think the best thing you could be is yourself. It's the only thing you could be that no one can take away from you.
This is a tough topic because nothing upsets fans more when an actor who's portraying one of their comic book characters or a character they're very close to in a book says, I didn't read the original source material because I didn't want to screw up my performance or I didn't want it to affect my performance. And now you're playing, you got the Scorpion and Bane. Did you go back to any of the original books and go, okay, let me see why the fans love this character?
Absolutely. I mean, I love those
Yeah.
characters and I am a fan. I think there is no division between the fan base and myself. I am part of the fans. I don't see the fans as other than me. I was a kid and I watched those
Yeah.
cartoons and I have a sense of ownership of them as much as any other fan. And I love these comic book community. I think they're the kindest community I've ever been a part of. I'm talking about the Comic-Con
Yep.
community. They're so kind, so inclusive, so welcoming, so accepting of each other. And I mean, Matt Gargan's Venom is arguably my favorite Marvel character. As a kid, I was fascinated by the tongue and the white, design on the
Yep.
black suit and his huge muscles. And Bane is a fantastic character in the sense that he outsmarts Batman, who is arguably the smartest superhero character in any universe. He's next to Sherlock Holmes. He's probably the greatest detectives in literature. So I take these two characters with a lot of inner fan joy
Yep.
and responsibility, and by the response of the fans, they want more Scorpion. It's all over, everything I've ever posted or the internet, and I'm grateful for it, and I love them, and I love that they see the potential in this character.
I'm taking 5 people tonight to Spider-Man because I might, you got to see, go to the premieres and everything, but I was at Comic-Con signing books, so I didn't get to catch, Spider-Man the way I wanted to, which would normally be the premiere or everything like that. But I mean, how unbelievable is it for you that it's going to hit 1 billion in 7, 8 days?
I'm grateful. I'm really grateful to be in the number one streaming movie in the world, 72 hours, and in the number one theater film that is arguably potentially the biggest grossing film of all time. I don't know what I've done to deserve this, to be a part of these things. No one really knows. No one can predict the cards we're dealt. But I'm grateful. I work really, really hard, but even that is not enough because I know a lot of people work really, really hard who don't get these opportunities. So all I can do is work harder, work smarter, be kinder to people, remind myself that I'm lucky and try as hard as I can to be the best person I can be because I'm in a position that is lucky. And that's a challenge that we all go through, and I hope that I hope that I only become better at it. I think that's the best way I can sum it up.
You mentioned something to me earlier about now I want to be the protagonist, which is basically I'm in a
Not,
position
not that
now,
now I want to be the present, but I feel like I've
right?
done that. So I don't want to repeat myself too
It's okay
much,
to want that. There's nothing wrong with
Okay.
wanting it. Nobody's going to be
Yeah,
the
no, but I
internet's
love,
going to
I
not
mean,
going to lose
I don't
their
want to take
mind.
away. I think I don't want to take away from what I've done. I love what I've done.
No,
I
you
just
you've
feel
been a
like I
villain for
want,
a lot. You played a lot of villains, and
yeah.
there's range. I don't. There are a lot of actors who go, I don't want to be typecast in just as I'm the villain in all these things. There's
Mm.
nothing wrong with that. And I guess where I'm going is how careful do you have to be to when you're choosing roles now. Now roles are coming to you. Now your managers are calling a little more. Hey, I got this shot. I got this shot. Now you've done all these great things. Now the path you've been on is amazing. How tough is it now for you to go, okay, I'll get paid more, but this one might be more helpful. I mean, there's a lot of movement here and a lot of guidance that is a little scary.
It's a really interesting place to be. I've never thought of these characters as villains. I've always thought of them as marginalized, as characters that had the courage to break away from the herd and challenge the status quo. And I've always looked at them as very psychologically layered, and I've always looked at them as arguably the hardest assignment in the cast.
Yeah.
You and let's be careful. I'm not saying my characters are the hardest characters to play. I'm not saying that at all. So please don't quote that. But I always found them as part of the hardest characters to
Yeah,
play
villains are hard.
because you've got to find their humanity when the page and the thesis of the movie is pushing against you, and you got to push back and say, I'm a human being too, kind of thing. But now I'm in a place in my career where there's a lot of scripts coming, a lot of offers coming. Surprisingly, they're mostly for leads. So they are protagonists. So I'm happy that the industry sees me that way. I think now it's just about, the next 2, 3 movies that I make are going to help set the tone. And you're right, it is a bit of a challenging. As you can tell, I'm my answer is not very concise because I'm still figuring it out.
It doesn't have to
I
be, man.
I have a villainous role, one more that's coming out where I play a crooked cop, but I shot that about 3 years, 4 years ago. But other than that, it's Gundam is not that kind of character, and hopefully we'll move away from that, and then maybe come back to it as well. I'm not if a great role came again, as you can see, I'm rambling a little bit because I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't have.
Listen, that's absolutely cool to be. You are in a position now that you worked very hard to get into, and that you're being interviewed and people are asking you about the future. It's an amazing place to be. So of course you're going to be a little, well, hey, yeah, this is pretty cool.
You know what? Here's a note that I'm going to put to my future self. Michael, follow your intuition. Do not follow a formula. There.
I like that.
I'm putting that into the universe. Yeah.
Now, agent calls you up and says, hey, we have this rom-com. Do you go, hold on. I don't know. I have range, but, I don't know if I want to go straight into pay me and we'll put out this movie.
I think, again, follow your intuition, 72 Hours came and they said, do you want to do a comedy before going to shoot Spider-Man? You have a small window. Sony will make it, and will make it work for you schedule-wise where you can go and come back. And my intuition said, have a meeting with the director before you answer anything.
Yep.
I spoke to Tim's story and I said, hey, Tim, listen, what about blue contact lenses and fangs and tattoos? And he's dressed like this. And there's a tattoo on his eyebrow that says, I forgive you. And Tim just smiled and laughed and said, yes. And my intuition immediately said, do it. This is good. Do it. So you got to follow your intuition. It all depends on the circumstances. I can tell you what I like. I like complex sci-fi.
Yep.
Sci-fi is probably my favorite genre. I love a psychological thriller. I love a great detective story like Seven.
Yep.
I love a Gladiator. The first Gladiator is one of my favorite films of all time. I love movies like The Matrix. I like vampire movies, potential horror films. In the DC comics, I really like Red Hood.
Ooh, Jason Todd. Yeah,
I like The Crow, the Brandon Lee films.
Yep.
So I love Denis Villeneuve. I love Christopher Nolan. I love Ridley Scott. I love so many incredible directors. So that's where my mind is. But we'll see. We'll see what comes my way.
Well, I can't tell you. I've loved this interview. I really looked forward to it. Let's give the Instagram again. It's at Michael Mando. Good luck, and I can't wait to see you in everything. All right.
Oh, you're awesome, man. God bless you. Thank
Thank you,
you.
man.